Gaza's future could be bright and could be promising. Gaza could evolve to become the pride and joy of the Palestinian people. But as long as Hamas is in control, as long as there's violence emanating from Gaza, we will not achieve our potential. We will be in poverty, in instability, with radicalization. This does not have to be the case. We need to plot a different course that leads to peace, stability, using an entirely different approach.
Realign for Palestine will convene a network of activists, scholars, journalists, and policymakers who will shape a new era of Palestinian advocacy that prioritizes state building and coexistence.
We've heard Ahmed talk about how this new wave of activism is focused on a complete rejection of violence.
It's as if the entirety of my lived experience has really been leading to this moment to hopefully be of service to my people.
Before October 7th, I had dabbled in critiquing Palestinian failures, Hamas, etc. I did have some publications online, but I had no real public persona per se. And when I saw that particularly in the English-speaking world, no one was doing this, I thought someone has to do this. Someone who is authentically Palestinian, who can hold multiple truths, who cares about the people of Gaza and Palestinians, but also is saying terrorism and ISIS-like behavior, that is not in line with Palestinian aspirations. So that's what I'm trying to do. It used to be triggering when someone would say it's complicated. It used to be triggering when someone would say there's a lot more to the story. Multiple things can be true at once. October 7 can be a horrendous massacre, and what's happening in Gaza is an utter disaster. The Jewish people do have historical roots to the land, even though I know that my family and grandparents have lived there for hundreds of years. The two don't have to cancel each other out. How did the Palestinian failures consistently lead to where we're at? How did the Arab failures fail to give the Palestinians a state between 1948 and 67, such that it's easier and more convenient to say we're here strictly because of Israel and Zionism, when in fact, there really is a lot more to it.
I have been on a mission to try to educate folks who say that you can criticize Israel's war strategy, but understand the nefariousness and the evil of Hamas. There's a unique opportunity to empower civil society, both in Israel and in the Palestinian territories and in Palestine, to create lasting roots for an actual cultural transformation, the rebranding of peace as a courageous evolution, even if it ultimately costs me my life, for I absolutely believe in it. Let's get to work. Thank you.
My next guest serves as a resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, Ahmed Fouad Alkhatib. Ahmed, good to see you.
Thanks for having me. There's a world in which when I remember Gaza, the default memories that come back are truly ones that are uniquely beautiful, because it meant so much to me and its people and in our families. I remember my grandma had all these vegetables and olive trees that persevered all the way to this last war. I remember beach trips, the video games. That's how I learned a lot of my English as a young man. But I also remember the cold weather and how we didn't have central heating. I remember the desire to get out of Gaza as a young man and realizing that I have no future here, because of the trends toward radicalization, towards instability. So in 2001, I was going home from school. I was in the 7th grade with 3 of my friends, and as was common, we were walking. Unfortunately, there was a massive Israeli airstrike. I was very close to that airstrike. The concussive wave of the blast, if you will, was something that shook me to my core, and that caused me significant hearing loss. And it was only the next day that I found out 2 of my friends were killed, Hamad and Rajab. And it was then that I decided I really want to get out of the Gaza Strip.
But when asked about all of the millions...
Realign for Palestine is an attempt to create an organizational framework under the umbrella of the Atlantic Council for how we promote Palestinian rights. Not this from the river to the sea approach, not this maximalist language that sees no future for 7 million Jewish Israelis and somehow thinks Israel can be sanctioned out of existence or isolated out of existence, which we know is not going to happen. But Realign for Palestine is kind of a value system of what is it that could be a different pathway forward, which is a rejection of violence, the 2-nation solution, the idea that there really are 2 separate nations who both have 2 separate rights to exist on this land. Being pro-Palestinian statehood and self-determination is not mutually exclusive to being pro the Jewish people's right to nationhood and to live in peace in a secure Israel. There's an imbalance of power dynamics between Israel and Palestine and Palestinians, but within said imbalance, my thesis is that we have plenty of space for agency and accountability and responsibility. I want to rebrand peace and coexistence as courageous, as strong, as coming from a position of strength and emotional intelligence and control. We know, unfortunately, as long as Hamas governs the Gaza Strip, the resumption of the fighting is a matter of time.
Ahmed, thank you so much. It was great.
Appreciate it. Cheers. All right. Hamas has long promoted the idea that they're an organic resistance to an injustice that has befallen the Palestinian people. And if you look at it, at best, they're a nefarious organization that uses the worst combination of nationalism meets religious ideology meets corruption in how they manipulate the masses. This is at best. Hamas has ruined the viable, albeit fragile, Oslo peace process in the 90s that could have ushered in a Palestinian state.
نحن نؤكد مثل ما أكد السيد خالد مشعل على أن اتفاقات أوسلو انتهت ودفنت.
Hamas ruined the chance that we had in Gaza after the 2005 withdrawal of Israeli settlements. Hamas abused the democratic process in 2006 to ruin the chance of an emergence of a democratic Palestinian nationhood.
Palestinian elections had a stunning outcome, a landslide victory for Hamas.
Hamas squandered billions of dollars of the Palestinian people's resources and aid money to build rockets and infrastructure. Every way you look at Hamas, it has been an abject disaster for the Palestinian people. Without Hamas, there wouldn't be billions of dollars in additional military aid to Israel. They've been a godsend to anyone who hated the Palestinian aspirations for freedom, for sovereignty. They push away prospective allies inside Israel and across the Jewish community.
I believe that there will be a moment where we'll have to have a real peace with our Palestinian neighbors, and I dream of that day, but it will take time.
Does that include a Palestinian state?
The idea of the two-state solution is something which, on record, I supported in the past many times. But I would say that I had a wake-up call following October 7th. I mean, innocent civilians were butchered, raped, abducted burned to death. People who are the biggest peace activists, we had to go to DNA labs all over the world to identify their bodies. Hostages are still in the dungeons of Gaza. This doesn't work this way. If we are dignified human beings, it's unacceptable under any norm.
Gaza's not flattened because of Zionism. Gaza's flattened because you have a far-right government that reacted horribly to a despicable Islamist terror organization that made a choice to launch a terror attack on October 7th.
Israel is at war. Although Israel didn't start this war, Israel will finish it. Hamas will understand that by attacking us, they've made a mistake of historic proportions. We will exact a price that will be remembered by them and Israel's other enemies for decades to come.
When I first heard about October 7th, I had just come back from a long walk. And then I saw news on Facebook that said something about bombardment in Gaza. And I was very confused. Then gradually saw there's just the scale of the destruction, and then saw the number of casualties escalating more and more, and realized the disaster that was unfolding. I screamed into the void in agony, in knowing what was about to happen, what this was going to unleash. I realized that things are about to be horrendous for my family, and the more time went on, by day 2, it became absolutely clear just how horrendous and out of control everything was about to be. It was then that I knew my life will never be the same again. صاحبي مرحبا. يعطيك العافية. حاولت ترجع للشمال للبيت تبعنا. I learned about the first attack that destroyed the house we grew up in from my sister, who called me from the Emirates. And I called my brother, who was in the house when it was hit, and pushed his way out of the rubble, he and his wife and 4 children.
احنا طرقنا السطوح مخزن والسقف قاعد بيحكي شوي شوية في غرفتي بنزل كل فترة والتانية بنزل.
There was a lot of pandemonium and chaos, and there was just a lot of confusion. This was on October 13th. The second attack took place on December 14th. And I remember getting a WhatsApp message at something like 2 in the morning. My mom, unfortunately, let me know that their home was hit. We basically found out that 29 people were killed in that airstrike. I am a very flawed human being who is just as capable as the next guy of being angry and upset and furious and livid, and and I am all of those things. What I work really hard at is to not be hateful, which is a different emotion altogether that ultimately leads to actions that are truly harmful in the long run. I feel like I'm 64 in a 34-year-old body, but I'm gonna do what I can because I feel like we're facing an existential crisis. I feel like there is a sense of, for me, a sense of collective responsibility. Like, what happened on October 7th is terrible. I'm going to acknowledge the suffering of Israelis on that day and that of hostages and survivors. Even with all the other horrors that have been done by the Israeli government historically and contemporarily. She's my right hand. She is a fantastic Jewish ally. To me, the acknowledgement of the humanity and suffering of Israelis, it actually bolsters my condemnation and critique of Israeli policies. We have the history. What I'm doing by speaking out against Hamas, by speaking out against this narrative that has gotten our people nowhere, I feel like I honor my fallen family members, holding them close to me as scaffolding for building bridges. That's easier said than done, believe me. That's not my Palestinian people. That's not. These things are courageous. It takes a lot of willpower, and I need to model what I'm preaching. We met with Tony Blair, and if I, with all my Western privilege and with all the work and all these narratives that I've been promulgating, if I can't do it, then it's unreasonable to expect others to do it. So I want to lead by example. And I want to challenge those who believe that we shouldn't engage Israelis and we should boycott. And I believe in bridges, not boycotts. Bridges, not tunnels. I have a grander vision, is I want to build an artificial peninsula and put an airfield and a seaport on it for the coast and central, but with using all the rubble. I adopted radical pragmatism after years of observing the failure of ideology in the Middle East in delivering any sense of resolution to issues. Radical pragmatism is pursuing what is achievable, what is doable, versus what is ideological, what is impractical. For many in Gaza, unfortunately, there is this idea that Gaza is not exactly their end state. The end state is Palestine. The end state is Jerusalem. It's the right of return. This would be Beit Hanun. And we need to, as part of a new ethos, a new education, kind of reorient people away from that and more into realizing that Gaza is home. You can have a cultural connection with the West Bank or Jerusalem or elsewhere, but Gaza is the pathway through which you can prove that the Palestinian people are absolutely capable of effective self-governance. The bringing together of they're capable of living side by side with their Israeli neighbors in peace and prosperity.
So for the trip, so this is an overview of everything, starting with arrival.
So I'm going to be going to Israel. I had never been before. This is happening at an immensely challenging time. And that's been confirmed. I'm going to be going there with a peace organization that brings different people together, focused on a noble mission, which is delivering healthcare to Palestinian communities.
And then we go to the big day at the Gaza envelope.
So we're thinking like 2 lookout areas, 2 to 3 lookout areas.
Yeah, 2 lookouts. I'm sure it's going to be like an emotional experience. Are you nervous?
Very.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit, like what's on your mind?
Well, I'm nervous about just like bearing witness to a site that triggered, this whole disastrous chapter for Gaza, where people used to live and lost their lives. I'm nervous about the attitudes of Israelis in those areas and how they're going to react to a Palestinian from Gaza being there, and really anxious about looking into Gaza. I will see Gaza and its surroundings in a very painful setting that is not how I wanted to see Gaza, but it will hopefully serve to give me a motivational jolt, if you will, to really keep going. My belief is that it's going to be a painful yet invigorating experience that will prompt further commitment to this issue. الجو بارد؟
كويس معتدل.
المهم ايش رايك لما اروح اشوف البنت هبه في القدس؟
مش عارف والله يا أبوس. يعني بدك تلفلف، بدك احكي عربي. مش عارف، عند العرب احكي عربي لحسن بعدين يصرموكم.
مين اللي يصرمينا؟
العرب يحسبوك أجانب يصرموك. مدريش يعني بحدا ولا تتطاول على حدا ولا.
بس انا يعني المفروض حيكون هو بس الاشي الحساس في الموضوع توقيت الرحلة. لو صار اثناء عودة الحرب، لو رجعت يعني لا سمح الله، مش لطيف الاشي حيكون.
طبعا.
والامل انه يعني نصنع شوية جسور، نعمل شوية علاقات كويسة، على امل انه ان شاء الله هذا الاشي يفيد لقدام. ويكون له يعني بيؤدي إلى نتيجة. فإن شاء الله الإشي يعدي بسلام.
الله يحفظك ويحميك، بس تبعدوش، وش بدك في غلاف غزة يما، منطقة خطر، يمكن يمنعوكوا أصلا تروحوا. الله يفرجك إن شاء الله، الله يهدي البال.
يلا تصبح على خير، إلى اللقاء.
بحفظ الله.
سلامات، باي باي.
الله يسلم أمورك يا رب، الله يسهل طريقك ويحفظك.
I want to start talking to these students already. Tell them what time it is. I'm very supportive of the existence of a pro-Palestine activist movement, if you will, on college campuses. Unfortunately, my concern is that what we've seen is the promulgation of maximalist, overly simplistic, black and white rhetoric. That is, to me, deeply problematic. So unfortunate. You go to these amazing college campuses and you see these students who are really going to transform, hopefully, the future, politically, economically, and so much squandered potential by these shows of revolutionary cosplay, if you will. I mean, I'm sorry, but while I respect the empathy for the Palestinian people, wearing a keffiyeh as a symbol of resistance is absolutely not what is going to help the people of Gaza right now.
We're gonna go this way.
We have a unique opportunity to build upon the huge, unprecedented amount of empathy and sympathy for the Palestinian people following the horrendous war in Gaza, to harness that into effective channels rather than squandering it with sloganeering, the rise of hate and anti-Semitism. This was very organic. Hi folks, my name's Ahmed. Thanks so much for being here. In the aftermath of October 7th, in ways that I sloganeering to me are statements and catchy phrases that might sound good in a protest, but are incredibly harmful and damaging. Things like from the river to the sea, this idea that there will not be any space for the existence of Israel.
Clashes between police and pro-Palestinian demonstrators are intensifying.
Free, free, free Palestine! The anger, the tension is boiling over, and someone's gonna get hurt.
Sloganeering makes people put their walls up. The damage is lasting. The division and the incendiary rhetoric becomes so toxic that it erodes any ability to have interfaith dialogue or spaces or communication, because there's going to be mutual pressure not to engage in conversations. Those who are displaying signs of anti-Semitism in response to what's happening in Gaza are not the allies of the Palestinian people. They are not helpful, and they harm our ability to work with the Jewish community. What I felt was immensely divisive. Sloganeering has proven to not only be ineffective, but to create a mental and a strategic roadblock. And I want to get rid of that. Please be a responsible custodian of the message that you are entrusted in, because students have an oversized impact and influence and visibility. So anyway, thanks for hearing me out, and I'm happy to hear from you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story.
Ahmed, you're a traitor! Ahmed, you're a traitor! Ahmed, you're a traitor!
Oh boy.
Ahmed, you're a traitor!
Why are you wearing a mask? No, come back here. Come back here.
Ahmed, you're a traitor! I'm here!
Come here. No, come here. Okay, well, take off your mask, though.
We don't need you.
No.
We don't need you.
But take off your mask, then. Come on. No, that's fine. But that's what I mean, though. Like, I saw her. I saw this person. She sat there the whole time, listening to me talking about my family. Even if she didn't believe in what I have to say politically, She could have at least pretended to have space for that, right? So like, you tell me who is going to actually move the needle on this issue. I have enough anger within me to yell and scream to the moon and back. And yet every single day I resist that urge and I transform it into an effort to do something meaningful. We need pragmatism. We need multiple truths to change this conversation. So you being a part of this talk here is a small step towards that. And I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Even though our home in Gaza City had been destroyed, I had asked my brother, who was in southern Gaza, to return back up and see if he could dig through the rubble to find photos of our family. And he dug, and he found some of those photos. It was really, really very incredible. I mean, he retrieved a whole suitcase full of family memorabilia, documents, photos that I myself haven't seen in 25 years. But that was precisely the point, is I wanted to have a record of myself, of my family. I mean, our heritage, our connection to the land, to the space. This was an effort to really show we belong there. We might never be able to go back, but I hope not. I want to be wrong on that. بشكل نفس شخصي رحلة مع الأتلانتيك كونسل. يعني كتير احنا we're so sorry وبنعتذر لك وبنقدم لك واحنا في بيروقراطية. قالوا لي هذا بس مجرد مشاكل بيروقراطية. Unfortunately, I was not able to go to Israel. I was informed a few hours before getting on the plane that I will be denied entry.
Hello.
Yeah, well, so all the people that I would want to call, none of them answered me now.
Okay.
You're in touch with the Israeli embassy in Washington?
Correct. It's something in Israel. Somebody's kind of just saying, nope, he's from Gaza, doesn't matter. I don't care if he's American. I don't care anything else.
Oy, Helm. Please convey my deep sorrow and regret.
Okay, I will. All right, talk soon. Bye-bye.
You know, it's like, how many times am I going to get it from both sides who are constantly trying to throw obstacles in my path? I was very, very upset. It felt like a major setback. This was a very rude reminder of how difficult it is to do this work. If you're doing it for glory, to be, for satisfaction and edification by people on both sides on a regular basis, you're going to be disappointed. There has to be a fire from within to push forward. Today, I'm going to the official launch for Realign for Palestine. The goal is to set this entity as a framework, as an alternative space, to lay out the vision. A friend of mine, Kamal, who survived the war in Gaza and will be there to describe his experiences. What's going on? And it'll be my friend Hamza Huwaidi. He will be zooming in virtually. He's in a refugee camp in Germany. Thanks for joining us, man. Really excited to have you on board. Thank you, man, for doing this. So those two diverse perspectives, coupled with mine, will kind of set the scene for how this will be a Palestinian-led effort.
I have finals in 20 days.
Since October 7th, it has often felt very lonely. I've shared how immensely exhausting and tiring this work can be. And yet, there's a certain momentum that feels like I'm catching a break, finally. I'm not alone. It is my hope that Realign for Palestine will be the beginning of a new network that can make other voices out there feel less lonely.
Ahmed Fouad Alkhatib, as the leader of Realign for Palestine, I'd like to start with you.
We have to look inwardly, not to victim blame or to self-hate. My purpose is very deliberately to bolster our community from within.
Once Ahmed told me about the idea of the Realign for Palestine, I said to myself that wish that existed many years ago. So maybe we can get rid of Hamas and bring another alternative for the Gaza Strip that might actually prioritize our needs and our interests.
I truly believe that Gaza can be incubated as a part of the little peninsula. It's going to take a lot of investment, of course, but we should have the ambition.
We wasted 2 decades thanks to Hamas and not calling them out, trying to have unity with them, and it's time that we actually make Gaza into the role model, the jewel of the Palestinian people.
Thank you so much for today.
What today meant launching Realign for Palestine and coming out of the event space and seeing all the notifications on my phone of people telling me just how incredibly proud they were. That has just given me a jolt of energy and excitement that I've been missing for many, many months.
Like the radical pragmatism?
Yes.
It's good.
Yes.
It's good, we need that.
Because the world is moving on from the Palestinian issue, and Arab countries have their own needs. They cannot pour endless resources into this issue. We have to show a serious commitment to peace and to a desire to be an economically and a politically viable country before the world is going to seriously invest in us.
I aim to do a lot of things, and finally I'm getting this platform that would empower me, amplify my voice, make me a future leader that would drive change to my community back in Gaza.
I'm hoping for Realign for Palestine to be a force of constructive disruption. I want to be able to face my community and say there is a different pathway forward. There's potential right now because of the interest in rejecting Hamas and rejecting violence. The Palestinian people in Gaza have turned against Hamas en masse. They were fed up with the idea that their resources are going to be robbed by Hamas in pursuit of a never-ending state of war.
Yes, our people are tired from war, but they are also tired from 18 years of repression, corruption, and being used as pawns in this game.
ولكن خذلتمونا كباقي شعوب العالم. احنا نريد حياة كريمة لنا ولأطفالنا.
It takes all of us, no matter the size of the role and contribution, to enable true rejuvenation and reconstitution of Gaza as the first step in the transformation of the Palestinian National Project and the pursuit of statehood and peace with freedom and dignity.